Welcome to another episode of the Love and Cash Flow podcast. Today we are joined with a content creator, fashionista, and food blogger here locally to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm so excited to have with us Melissa Latin. Welcome to the podcast, Melissa.
Hi, thank you.
So excited to have you. Like I mentioned, our team was looking into different guests that are local that we can have that will bring some sort of different flavor to the podcast. And I guess for a lack of better term, you definitely bring the flavor, right?
So.
Your main thing is food and all of that. And I love food. Like, who doesn't love food, right?
Exactly.
So I wanted to ask you first and foremost, like, how did you go to the route of creating content when it came to the food, I guess, niche, right? Like, what made you gravitate towards that as your main
I guess
content
I've been
strategy?
cooking for a long time. And when I moved here to Charlotte, I was teaching. I wanted to do something different. So I'm like, I'm going to start. I actually started with fashion and styling.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And then it kind of morphed in the more I started like making recipes and putting them out there on social media. And then I'm like, wow, I could really make a business out of this. So then I started a website and then started just sharing to social media.
Great. So when you say you started a business, does that mean like you privately cook for people, or do you have a restaurant, like,
no,
or just content?
Right. So my website generates revenue. So it took me a long time to get there because it's like when you create a recipe, you have to write it for SEO.
Yes.
Right. For Google. So I was at the beginning, probably the first 2 years, I did no kind of SEO whatsoever.
Yeah.
And everything I've learned, I've taught myself. And so once Google starts picking you up, once you start writing the blogs the way that Google wants you to.
Yeah, once you start ranking up.
Yeah, and then they start throwing them out there to people. Then you can get with ad companies, and that's how I generate revenue. So I am now at the top tier with a top tier ad agency. This is my third one. I can't go any further.
Oh, wow.
So I'm getting over 100,000 people a month on my website.
Oh, wow. And that's organic reach, or?
About 80% is organic, and then the other 20% could be direct if I share a link.
Okay.
Or through other social media platforms.
Right, like newsletters and stuff like that. Okay.
Yep.
And how did you get into like cooking and creating recipes with that intention to eventually monetize it, or did that just kind of happen?
Not necessarily, because when I first did it, I really didn't know that you could monetize a website.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted it to have there as kind of like my own virtual cookbook, maybe.
Right.
And then when I learned that, oh, you can actually monetize it. But one thing that I don't do that is different than other food bloggers, they do a lot of keyword search. So I am more of, I'm going to create a recipe for something that I want to make.
Yeah.
I don't use like a keyword search and go, what is everybody looking for today? Are they looking for meatloaf? Oh God, let me make a meatloaf recipe.
Got it.
I literally lay in bed and think about what I'm going to make the next day.
Okay.
I don't care if it ranks or it doesn't rank.
Yeah.
And I've been really lucky. Like I've passed food bloggers that have been in the business for 8 years.
Wow.
That have been consistent with keyword search. I give you what I want to cook in my own kitchen every day.
Right. For like your family and all this stuff. Okay. And then usually, as far as quantity goes, like how big of a batch are you usually cooking when you do?
So there's really only my husband and I.
Okay.
But I come from a big family, so it's been very hard to scale down.
Yeah.
So I always have leftovers. Some I'll freeze and take to my mom back home in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Or I'll share. I have some elderly neighbors. My trainer takes food all the time.
Okay. Awesome. That's great. So I guess that's good to have like that basis, and we'll get back to it. But how did you, like, what's your history here, I guess, with Charlotte, right? Because your page is Charlotte's Fashion Plate, right? Charlotte_fashion_plate.
Right.
I just want to make sure, because plug.
Yeah, that's
right.
Instagram.
Go follow her. But and we'll add it in the descriptions of course as well, and your website and all that. So when it comes to like, you arriving to Charlotte, were you born and raised here? Like, what's your story with you and Charlotte?
So I was born and raised in just south of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I had been teaching at a small university, just a little bit bigger than Queens, accounting for 16 years.
Okay.
And my husband, we weren't married at the time, but we were getting married, got a job offer. He had been in professional hockey his whole life.
Oh, wow.
So he was semi-retired and was offered a position with the Checkers.
Mm.
and it was a really bad snow in 2010 in Pittsburgh. And he's like, "Do you want to move to Charlotte?" And I was just starting. I was applying for tenure, so I had gotten pre-tenure, and I had my whole tenure package ready to go
Yeah.
for the semester. And I'm like, oh, I said, you know what? Let me finish out this semester, and then I'll meet you down there. So that's what I did.
Oh wow. So he
hmm
moved over here first, and
He
then
was here for like a year, and I kept going back and forth with our two dogs all the
right,
time.
and then but your goal was to finish out the semester to then just move out.
I
And
finished out the whole year because,
okay,
I had a contract and I didn't want to say, in
yeah,
August, oh, I'm not going to be here. So
got it.
I did that. I just didn't apply for tenure.
Got it. And then
hmm
when you spoke about teaching, tell us a little bit about that. Like, what did you teach? Where?
I taught, the school's called Waynesburg University. It was actually the school I went to get my undergrad and my graduate.
Okay,
And
in
as,
accounting.
uh-huh.
Okay.
And as soon as I graduated, my lead professor was going to head up like a MBA program for the university, and he had a bunch of his classes that he needed somebody to fill.
Phil.
And I got a call one summer, the summer after I got my MBA, and they're like, "Do you want to teach one of his classes?" And I'm going, "Oh, if I want more. Like I want 3 or 4 of his classes, or it's really not, to
Right.
my benefit to come in 3 days a week."
Right.
And they called me 2 weeks later and said they're all yours.
Wow.
And I stayed there in a capacity from maybe 5 years. It's like a lecturer,
Yeah.
part time, full time until 2000. And then I got on the tenure track.
Wow.
And yeah, so
And
2010.
and then you stayed there for that long, and the whole time you were always teaching accounting and what you
Accounting
graduated.
and different things. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh huh.
Okay. And what made you not go that route as far as like I guess your full on profession beyond teaching, like bookkeeping or I don't
Just
know CPA at
it
work?
wasn't what I wanted to
No.
do.
Okay.
I never wanted to like.
Never. It never. What?
Never did I
Okay.
want to like work for a big accounting firm. It just wasn't. It wasn't on my mind that that's what
Yeah.
I wanted to do.
Oh wow. So you went to school for accounting, but it
Yes.
was never your goal to actually
No.
make it your thing. So
Mm-mm.
what you had a passion for numbers, accounting,
I
or
do. Like I really like my number. I just have this thing for, and it's not even really math because math
yeah.
isn't that complicated for
Right.
accounting. Um, but I guess I just knew it would work out. And it's
Yeah.
funny because
Like you would use it for something.
yes,
Yeah.
my sister and I are only like 13 months apart, and she graduated with her master's in education, me in accounting. She went into business, and I went into teaching.
Yeah.
So we
That's
say we just
hilarious.
kind of switched careers.
Yeah, that's
hmm
wild. That's so wild. I don't think I've ever met anybody who went into a career path, like to study it,
Yeah.
invest into it, and all these things, that the end goal wasn't necessarily to stay the course
Yeah.
and monetize what they learned,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
that's definitely
But I had a
interesting.
great job. Like when I
Yeah.
tell you it was teaching was I could not have asked for a better career.
Right.
hmm
Do you do any level of teaching today? Is that something that
No, not really. I
okay.
mean, n- other than cooking. Like I
Right.
guess maybe my teaching background
Right.
helped with how I create my recipes because
hmm
I do get a lot of feedback that people say, that looks really complicated, but when you break it down like you do,
It's easy.
it's easy. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I can do that. And that's how I felt like that I did when I was teaching.
Right, right. You just get something that's very complex to
Yes.
the
And break
general
it
and
down.
break it down in a way that the
hmm
average person can consume it. That's what a
Yes.
good teacher really is.
Yeah.
So I love that you're able to, I guess, translate that into the world of the culinary world
Right.
and do that. And by the way, I saw a couple. I went through a little rabbit hole of watching your posts. I'm like, man, that looks amazing. I sent a couple things to my wife. I'm
Oh,
like, can this happen? She has a recipe.
oh,
She's
good.
like, of course. So it's funny because like I'm assuming most men, most husbands, they'll be like sending stuff to their wives so that
Right.
eventually one day, hopefully, you
Yeah.
show up and it's actually made. And my wife, she's pretty good with that because I'll send her something and a day two later, she's like, "Oh,
Oh,
I
good.
made that." I was like,
Oh,
"Wait a minute, is this the same thing?" She's like, "Yep." I'm like,
oh,
"Look, you know my love
good.
language."
Yeah.
But no, that's amazing. And then when it comes to monetizing, I guess the platform now,
Yeah.
you're getting the most of your traffic, I'm assuming, from social media, or is the website kind of its own thing even without social media?
So I have different like revenue sources.
Okay.
One is my website where most of the traffic's coming from Google. when I first started my website, I think 95% of my traffic came from Pinterest
Okay. Yeah.
and maybe like 2% Google. And I'm like, I really got to change those numbers.
Mm.
And so now it's been about maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
I completely flipped it and even went more on the Google side.
Yeah.
So that's one stream of revenue.
Right.
Like, I think it's difficult for people who are more taking traditional paths to income where they don't quite understand how like a food blogger or an influencer actually makes
their money.
an
Yeah.
earning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to break that down because I think it's
Yes,
really
please.
interesting.
Absolutely. Because I completely agree. There's a lot of people who have a massive amount of attention in followers and they get a bunch of views and all of that. And they're, for the lack of better terms, they're broke. They don't even know how to monetize it, how to make money from it. Like, what would you advise to someone who is in the creator space that happens to have that attention? How would you advise them to create content?
I think that you have to be very detailed. Like, I am a perfectionist when it comes to my videos, right?
Okay.
I don't think people have a very large attention span.
Mm-hmm.
So if you notice, most of my videos, the majority of them on my Instagram, so to speak, are like 7 to maybe 10, 12 seconds at most. 12 is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the ones that do the best for me.
Right. Yep.
I mean, I think I have now probably 10 that are in the millions of views.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And the more it gets pushed out, the more followers you get. Instagram used to pay you for bonuses, and they have stopped that program right now. I hear they're going to get it back. So you can't really make that much money on Instagram except for just being out there. I have gotten brand deals.
Oh, wow. From which brands have you gotten?
Oh my gosh.
What kind of brands?
I have a list.
Cookware, everything pertaining, I'm assuming, to
that or
the food.
Yeah. So I just signed a contract with Hexclad, which is like a Gordon Ramsay like preferred pan.
Oh, nice.
I've done Campbell's soup. I mean,
wow.
They're all listed on my thing. I can't even remember. It's so many.
Wow.
But now I can practically name my price for, say, a video.
Right.
So I've gotten a lot of that. So even though Instagram doesn't pay you specifically, I am earning from all these brand deals. I mean, I can't tell you. I probably have 5,000 unread messages on my
so it sounds like you
email.
need a manager.
I need an assistant. If anybody.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping soon to get. Like,
because there's probably literally
manager.
dollars in your DMs right now.
There are dollars in my DMs
that you can't capitalize on.
So Facebook, I earn a little bit of money on Facebook. They do pay they have a little tiny bonus program, but it's not much. As far as social media, probably the biggest earning is TikTok right now.
TikTok, but that's directly through TikTok that they're paying you. Because do you also source or take into consideration the people that land on your website from Instagram, TikTok,
yeah, but that's only, like I said, Google's about 80 or 85%, then Pinterest and then direct. So
okay,
it's
because you have it in the link in your bio, right? Your website and all of that.
Yes, it's just a small amount.
Got
yeah.
it. Okay.
The majority of the revenue comes from my website. You know, I remember when I was making like $100 a month on my website, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
So how does that work? Does that mean like you built out this website, you're getting traffic to it, and then you're able to go to the ad agencies and say, hey, I'm getting this much traffic here. Let's add some advertisers. How does that process work?
So the first time I ever felt like I had enough follower or enough sessions on my website, there was one company called She Media. They're like I think they're more specific to like women bloggers, maybe.
Okay.
They didn't pay much. Like, I had to apply, and most everybody gets accepted from them. And they may have like lower level advertisers. So they get with their advertisers. They show you my website or whoever's website. Hey, would you like to advertise on her website?
Got it.
And then once you get up to 50,000, there's a larger ad company. And I did that. and I got accepted. I didn't get accepted the first time, but I knew that I
Eventually
wasn't
you're gonna
going
get there.
to because I had no SEO. Like,
Yeah.
even though I reached that 50,000, it was all because I was grinding on Pinterest and
Uh,
sharing. And they got back to me and gave me some great information. And they're like, just do this, this, and this. And probably within 6 months, I reapplied and got accepted without,
oh
a
wow.
problem. And so then my revenue started really going up. And last October, I was working actually with a really big food blogger. What I love about this industry, as competitive as it is, I am not a competitive person when it comes to this.
Right.
Like, to
Is that a
me,
you, or like is that the sentiment across all of the?
no, it's fairly competitive.
Okay.
Everybody wants to be on the first page of Google and
Yeah.
ranking, and oh my
Yeah.
God, I went from first place to second place.
Yeah.
I don't focus on that at all.
Right.
Like, if I get a first place ranking, I'm happy about it, but it's
Right.
not
It's not
my
like your end all be all.
no, because then I would be doing keyword search and all of
Right.
that.
Right.
But a food blogger, a really big one, reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, I love the way you do your videos." This was last, I think, June. She goes, "Would you work with me in doing, like, here's my recipes, you make my recipes, you create videos for me in like a longer format and a shorter format." So I did that for a couple months.
Okay.
And I'm like, I looked at her page because I was taking a lot of recipes from her page to make her videos. And I'm like, oh, she's with Raptive, which is like the highest paying ad agency there is. And they
Mm.
only accept you if you have over 100,000 sessions a
Sessions.
month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this was October. I go, I'm never going to get there. Like, I want to be there. And I even, like, in my head, I go, it's going to take me a good year and a half of just really focusing.
This was last October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And come January, I hit 113,000 sessions.
Wow.
And I'm like, I said to my husband, I go, should I apply?
Yeah.
And he's like, why not? Just
Right.
But I was making really good money at the middle tier one.
Yeah.
And he's like, just apply, just see what happens. And I don't even think it was 3 hours, and I got
Accepted.
accepted.
That's wild. That's so cool. And then at that point, what that looks like is, what's your output? I guess what's the work involved in that? Like, you constantly have to be posting every day. Like,
No,
how does that work?
it's as much as you want to do. Like, I could probably not post any more recipes on my website and still continue generating
That compound from the
yes
previous
the
recipes.
same amount of income. I'm very much a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I do all my work. I don't have anyone behind the scenes helping me
Really?
except my husband does my dishes. I call him my kitchen bitch. And he has a t-shirt. He'll go grocery shopping for me. I
Yeah.
mean, those two things. Other than that, I handle all of it.
No outsourcing.
No outsourcing.
Wow.
And in fact, I manage 5 other companies' social media.
Really?
Mhm.
How do you find the time to
I
do
don't
all
know.
this?
It's like
I don't know.
24/7.
Yeah. So what's your sleep schedule like? It sounds like you sleep maybe 4 hours
It's
at night.
about
Yeah,
it's
there you go.
about that, but that's all I feel like I
You
need
need.
sometimes.
That's insane.
But yeah,
That's so cool. And I mean, you seem to enjoy it,
I
which
love
mean,
it.
it
I
is what
love
it,
every minute of it.
do you. So okay, so you could do like a new recipe, you feel inspired, and then you write this thing, and it's mostly written format, and then like for the website itself, it's mostly written format, right? It's not videos, or is it?
Oh, I
videos
do
too?
put videos.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
the same videos that you post on social media. You post
Yeah.
on.
Usually the ones I post on TikTok, which are a little bit longer.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll make the recipe. A lot of food bloggers do like testing. I don't test a recipe at all.
Yeah.
I don't think I might have like really messed up a recipe before and didn't
Right.
share it, and it's probably something I baked because I'm not a baker.
Right.
But I don't recipe test. I have a piece of paper and pencil next to me, and just like when I put something in, I'll
You write
write
it down.
down what it was and how much of it was.
That's
And
good.
then like the next day, usually I chill out. It's usually like if I'm in the kitchen making a recipe, it's about 4 hours because I am literally making it, shooting it on TikTok, and taking pictures at the same time.
That's insane.
But I have in my head, it's just the
You have the
strangest
workflow.
thing that I never knew that I had this like creative side.
Mm,
You know, I've always been right-brained, really smart. I was in school when I was 4 years old because I just knew so much.
right.
And I never felt like I had that side until like maybe when I got a little bit older and like I get stopped in the mall and people say, "What did you have on?" And then I'm going, "Oh, so that means do have a little bit of
Right.
that, right?"
Right.
And now it's just like before I even start filming a recipe, I know that I need 4 or 5 shots of the end
Right.
for the beginning or pouring. So some people go, "Oh, that looks like a lot of gravy on the plate." And it might
Yeah.
because I've had to pour it like 2 extra times than
Because the
somebody
pour didn't come out right.
normally
I
would,
hear you.
would do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a certain workflow and then I just chill for the rest of the night, maybe share a couple photos
Yeah.
on my social media. And then usually the next morning I get up really early and start writing it. And then
Okay.
I have like a, workflow there because again, I need to be very specific
Yeah.
with SEO
Yeah.
and
So you're very conscious of like what words you're using and all these things to be able to optimize as much as possible for
yes.
SEO, right? Okay.
Yes. And, it could be an off the wall recipe that, I know is not going to get searched for. So my only hope is that, I can put it out there enough in social media that somebody will, and if they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
I don't really care,
Right. Right. Right.
honestly. Like
Yeah.
if I have a really good recipe I want to share, I'm sharing it.
Right.
Like I just think
Regardless of whether people
it's
look
too
for it or not.
much pressure, man.
Right.
Look what I have gotten my sessions up over 100,000, not
Not caring.
not caring about whether or not I'm putting a recipe out there that somebody's searching for.
Right. Right. No, I love that because that also doesn't take away the fun out of it, right? Because
Exactly.
if you're just doing
Then
the
it would
things
be
to
more of a job.
exactly. That's
And now I feel like I'm getting rewarded for my passion.
that's the best way
Hmm.
because you're truly you know that saying of like find something that you love and you never work a day in your
That's
life.
how I feel
That's
every
literally how
day I
you
wake up.
yeah, that's amazing. And not a lot of people, get to that point, right?
Right.
They're scrambling a 9 to 5 that they hate just to be able to put food on the table and,
Yeah.
have a roof over their head. So that's super cool that you've been able to find something that you love to do, that you do it in a way that you don't put pressure on yourself.
Right.
What I'm curious about though is like, why not? I know you said you're a perfectionist, but
Yeah.
why not outsource some of the little things that take up maybe a big portion of your time?
I don't know what that would be right now. I'm too busy to think about what that would be, honestly. Like maybe if I get to a place
like even the shooting, like or even the first draft of the vlog, like putting what you wrote down in the piece of paper.
Yeah,
in
no, I don't think I could do that. I don't
I feel you're
know.
like antsy already just even
No,
thinking
I know.
about
I'm like, what would it be? So I did have an intern. I had a couple like college interns.
it. Okay.
And they would make some like fixes on my blogs that I needed, and that I
They were
couldn't
like
handle.
copywriters type of thing, or
They were
interns.
just like seniors or juniors in college and
Okay.
just needed a part-time job, and I'd just show them what to do, and that I was good with.
Yeah.
But like the other stuff, like I don't know. I just don't know yet.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not ready for
You're not
that.
ready for that.
Mm-mm.
That's super interesting because me, on the other hand, I've gotten on this wave as of recently. I haven't always been like this. As of recently, I've been on this wave of trying to outsource as much as I can. In that, like the things that are I don't like doing, or the things that are I can pay someone way less for me to outsource than what I'm
Right.
worth. My time is worth at least.
Right.
And I read this book by Dan Martell. I can't recommend it enough. It's called Buy Back Your Time. And it's all about that, like buying back your time so you can enjoy the things that
Right.
even though from the sound of it, you enjoy all of it.
I do.
But there has to be certain things that you're like, this is a little tedious. Like I could do without this.
Mm-mm.
No.
I
like,
can't say there is, other than
No.
grocery shopping. Like if I could send,
Yeah,
but
Instacart.
then I'm
You
like,
can
I have to
Instacart.
pick out the produce, and
Yeah.
even when my husband goes, I'm like, get a jalapeno, but not one that's all wrinkly.
Right. Like,
know?
it needs to look good for the gram.
Yeah.
I get it. No, that's super interesting that you like to have, because we're pretty much on the opposite side of the spectrum. I'm trying to outsource as much as I can. You're like, I want my
I
hands
am
on
a
the full pot.
maniac. I'm not gonna lie. Like, honestly, I think it's just adrenaline that keeps me
That
like
keeps you going.
all day long. Mhm.
Where do you host your website? What kind of how did you build your website too?
So a
yourself?
friend of mine builds websites.
Okay.
And he and I did it over the course of like a couple months. and it's on WordPress.
Okay.
But we literally built it. So
From
it's
scratch.
not like a theme, because I looked at a lot of like
Templates
other
and stuff.
food bloggers. I'm like, yeah, that's not me. That's just I'm I wanted to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And so we used something called Elementor, and it's and honestly, at first people were saying you're not going to get anywhere with Google using Elementor, and I'm like, oh well, I don't know. Let's just see.
Yeah.
And I have my own like fonts, which are like crazy fonts
Oh,
that
really?
you can't even like really find. They have to be downloaded. Um, and that's what we did. We just sat there, and he's like, "Do you like this?" He didn't charge me a thing. I think I had to take him out. It's probably
Oh,
like a $10,000 or $15,000 website if I would have paid
wow.
for it.
Wow. Now it's worth a lot more.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure. If you were to, I guess, sell it or
No, I'm
exit,
not. I wouldn't even think about it.
but how much would
I,
it be worth if you were to sell it with the traffic that
God,
it gets?
I don't know. Like,
Yeah, because usually it's going to be a what 5 to 8 multiple
yeah.
on what it is. You don't
Mm,
know?
no, I know.
Oh, you know,
Like, but
but
I'm
you
not
wouldn't want
telling.
to say. Okay, I get it. No, but I mean, I think that also when it comes to like we've covered a lot of the cash flow side of
Yeah.
things, right? I want to talk a little bit more of the love,
Okay.
right? You say it's you and your husband. You guys have
Mhm.
been married for how long now?
July will be 13 years. We've
13
been together
years.
for 20. We dated for 7 years.
Wow,
Mhm.
you held it down for that long,
Yep.
and you were engaged how long?
Um, gosh, we weren't engaged that long,
No,
maybe like a year, but we knew we were getting
getting
married.
married.
Yeah.
Okay, and did you guys meet back home?
I have a really good story. This
Yeah,
is a
let's see.
really good love
I
story.
want to hear it. This is all about.
So I was a senior in college,
Uh huh.
and I was in love with Mario Lemieux. I don't know if you know him. He's like the Wayne Gretzky of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So a very, very good hockey player, handsome. I used to watch the games or would go to games, and I just knew I was going to marry him, even though I like never met him, right?
Right.
But as I was watching the games, I would always see this other guy standing on the bench, um, where the Penguins sat. And a couple games I went to, I saw in like the corner, they had his name like they were holding up his name like he had his own little like fan club, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
got to know that his name was Steve Latin.
Okay.
It never met him, but like during that whole year, I like just kept watching him because I'm like, man, he's so like tall, dark, and handsome. But I went on with my life, and I ended up, I actually was married twice, and I was actually separated from my second husband 2 years, and I got home from work that day from teaching, and my brother, who was living in Morgantown at the time, he's like, hey, I have this buddy coming in from Pittsburgh. I'd like for you to come and meet him. And I was really tired. It had been a long weekend. I'm like, nah, I don't really feel like going. He's like, come on, I really want you to meet this guy. So I do end up getting ready, and I get to the bar. My brother's there, and he's like, so by the way, you're meeting this guy, Steve Latin. And I'm going, who? He goes, I pined over that guy like 13 years ago. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I said, how do you know him? He goes, I've known him for like 5 or 6 years. And my
Wow.
brother and I were close. Like, I'm going, how did I not know that you
That you
didn't
knew him.
know Steve Latin?
Yeah.
And he said, so he owned a company in Morgantown, and Mario Lemieux had this golf tournament every year, and my brother would buy a foursome.
Okay.
And with that foursome, you got a penguin. And he said
Mm.
the first year, instead of us getting a hockey player, my husband was the head equipment manager.
Okay.
They gave us Steve Latin. And he said we had such a good time. My family's Serbian, so they drink a lot on the golf course.
Yeah.
And my husband's side is part Croatian. So he said
Oh.
they had the best time, even though he's like a little upset that they didn't get a penguin.
Yeah.
That every year after that, they requested to have my husband.
Oh.
And so that'll be 20 years ago. This August we've been together.
That's wild. Well,
Mhm.
congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
huge. And that's a
Yeah.
great story for real. Who would have thought? Because you were pretty close to your brother. Like, it's not like
Yeah, I
a
never
distant
knew.
brother
I can't even believe
that you knew them that long.
that he knew him that long.
Was the first time that you, I guess, saw his name or whatever, the fan club, was that the
Yeah.
first time you learned of him?
Uh-huh.
That was the first time ever.
Like I saw him all the time because they'd always like, pan across the bench and you'd see him standing there.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, that's awesome. And then here you are 20 years later. You guys have any kids?
No.
No kids?
Mm-mm.
Is that something that you guys decided off the bat? Like, we don't want to have
Kinda.
kids?
He's older. He's like 17 years older than I am.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you were
And to me, I just never really knew I didn't want children.
right.
We have dogs, and that's
How many
good.
dogs?
We have two.
2 dogs.
hmm
That's
We
awesome.
had two, and now we have two more.
Got
hmm
it. Got it. No, that's great. And then when it comes to, I guess advice. You
Yeah.
guys have been in the game,
Yeah.
marriage game
Right.
for what, 13 years you said?
Yeah.
13 years, together 20 years.
Yeah.
Like what would you say to, I guess let's call it a young couple that's
Yeah.
just in the dating phase and they feel like they're going to get married and all these things, but they're just still trying to lay that foundation. What would
Right.
you suggest to them?
So I think you got to be easy on each other.
Mm,
I think that like oftentimes one's nagging the other, and I think it's sometimes just too much.
yeah.
Like we are very like low key, don't get too excited about anything as far as, what's going around or going, I guess just be more of a team and not always.
Bickering for little things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little things don't really matter. My husband, I have to say, he is truly one in a million. Like he is so low key. We never argue about anything. And I think it's always better to marry somebody who loves you more than you love them.
There you go. That's the secret sauce we were waiting for.
I shouldn't say that, but I think that, in my younger years, I always probably tended to go for people that I always had to maybe chase.
Right.
And it's always better when you're on the other side of
you're
that.
the receiving side.
Not that I don't love him. I love him with all my heart.
Right.
But I know there's just that little tip. On,
that he overcompensates there.
Yeah, I just think it's like you have to grow up. I think if you're not mature enough to be in a relationship, then don't do it. Just hold off.
Right, because there's a beauty in singleness, is what I've always tell my single friends and people who are in a hurry to, have a family, get married, and all these things. There's something that I feel starts to brew inside of you when you're starting to learn yourself. Because I something that I realized when I got married, I've been married 7 years. What I realized is after I got married that I learned a different version of myself that I otherwise would have never met unless I got married, right? Because you kind of like reflect on the different things that actually bother you, things that you're easygoing on. So I can totally relate with like, hold it down, be easy with one another, pick your battles. I feel is pretty much what you're saying. There's not much to really argue about. What I have noticed though with this generation is that even within like in a marriage, there's competition. Have you ever seen that? Whereas like one is competing with the other instead of being a team. What's your take on that?
Oh, we are a huge team. Like it's us together, no matter what, whether it's his family, my family, somebody else, we're always connected and we always have each other.
Do you guys have
back.
like big, Christmas parties and stuff like that with the whole family? How's that?
Yeah, so
and do they make you cook?
Most of our family is back home in Pennsylvania, so we try to go back there as much as possible.
Okay.
But like, what was that? What were you?
No, it was like, do you guys do Christmas and
so
and
like
Thanksgivings together?
Yes.
Type of
so
thing?
we usually go back home for that.
Okay.
My dad's side of the family is Serbian, so we still celebrate Christmas also on January 7th.
Okay.
Which is like the Orthodox Christmas.
Right.
So, if we don't go back for the 25th, then we usually try to go. My dad has a big party.
For January.
Which I don't have to cook for.
You don't have to cook for. Oh, there you go.
But I usually have to cook for Thanksgiving.
For Thanksgiving. So do they come to you or you still go over there? Because that's the majority.
We still go there.
You still go.
Yeah.
And did you guys ever think about moving back? Because I know that it was kind of like, you just loved it here.
Just because of the weather. Like,
okay.
2010, I think it was huge like snowstorm in Pittsburgh, and we were like,
never again.
He's like, I'm gonna take that job, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
Similar to us, like we come from Miami, from Florida, and we have the hurricanes and all these things, and it's every single year. You got the hurricane season, and we were kind of like anxious to, are we gonna get a hurricane this time? Are we gonna have to put up shutters? Are we gonna have to go stock up on? And it was every year you kind of like bracing for impact, and it was like, we don't have to live like this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess similar to you guys, but just with snow, right?
Yeah.
With blizzards.
I mean, my goal would be to have like a family compound. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so
Like
walk me through
both
that.
sides of our family just like living
Together
in a
amongst
huge
each other.
property. Yeah, like
Ah.
that's what that would be my like ultimate
Is anybody else
goal.
in the family on board with that idea?
My sister is. I think that we could definitely.
Make it work
Yeah.
if you actually make it work.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That would.
interesting.
That's just my like. I would just love to have
Like a big farm type thing.
big, huge. Yeah, like
property.
have chickens and.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't kill the chickens just for their eggs, but like yes, and everybody
that would have
like
to be here
do
in
things
like
and,
North Carolina or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
'cause
that would be my ultimate goal.
ultimate goal.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess it's not too late, right? You can
No.
make it work.
I mean, both my parents are still alive,
Oh, that's
thankfully,
great.
and
That's
the
great.
one brother, sadly, that introduced me to my husband has passed
Oh,
from COVID in 21.
oh wow.
But the rest of my brothers and sisters, and he's got brothers and sisters, and
Right. So it's a big family.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big family. So
Mhm.
that'll be a big compound
a big
for sure.
compound.
For sure. And from the business side of things, going back to the
Okay.
business side of things, because that's my favorite topic, selfishly. When it comes to you moving forward, like what do you want to do with, like, say, your page, your brand? Is there any goals that you're aspiring for now? Because I know that you worked your way up to the 100,000 sessions per month.
Oh, I'm gonna
Like,
keep going.
what's
like
the
I
next?
have my goal next is 1,000,000.
1 million. Okay.
Within you know,
10x.
I would say within a year and a half.
Okay. What kind of work does it take to get to that?
It's mostly like
More content.
continuing to write good content, updating old. So I have a lot of old recipes there that I really need to update. So
Like refresh different
yes,
stuff.
meaning I remake them, redo the photos,
Oh,
the videos. So I've been doing a lot of that. So I might do like 2 new ones and 1 old one. But there are some of the old ones that Google's actually picking up.
yeah.
Now the problem is, like, if I want to update an old one that say I might be ranking number 1 or 2 for, I can't touch it.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
You could just replicate it, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
do
mean,
like a version of it.
not really.
No?
I just cannot, because then I would almost be competing with myself.
Oh, I see.
So, and
So
not that
don't
I
fix
am.
what's not broken type
Right.
of thing. I get
So if it's a recipe that is out there, and I'm going, that maple glazed chicken, I don't even have a recipe card for it.
it.
But it shows up number 3 or number 4 most searched.
Wow. That's wild.
It is.
That is so. It just takes a version of itself up
Yeah,
out
and
there.
I'm going, okay, just let it go.
Let it go.
But ones that I know don't get really a lot of activity, then I'll update it, and then I'll update the blog, and
If you know that there's room to improve it and get
always
it to where it
room
is.
for improvement,
There's always-
right?
You're
It's
right.
just
If it's not number one, then it could.
kinda, but like I said, I'm not really like focused on that. I just
Right.
know like the way it looks, the aesthetic
Got
might
it.
be pretty bad, or people now like the recipe card that they can actually print.
Cool.
So that is my next goal is 1,000,000.
1
I
million.
think I can achieve that within a year and a half.
Okay.
Do I think I'm gonna eventually have to have a team? Yes.
There we go. That's what I was hoping for.
Yes.
Because to get to 1 million,
Yes,
is
it
gonna
is going to
require-
take a team. Since October, I went from, I think, 20,000 followers on Instagram. I'm almost 60,000 right now,
wow.
and that is doing those short reels.
That's the only
um,
thing that has changed.
That is the only thing that's changed.
Hmm.
Oh well, and then I'll say, if you want the recipe, comment, and I'll send it to your DM.
Okay, so you have
so-
the many chat, or do you
I-
personally
I
send
do it all myself.
Melissa.
I know, but listen, here's my problem with ManyChat. All right, I
Okay.
am a very personable person,
Yes.
and I want to personally thank you for asking me for that
I love it.
recipe.
I love it, but you still have
I get
5,000
it.
DMs
I
that
get
haven't.
it. I do, and sometimes I get kicked off of Instagram for like a day because
because
I'm
you do it
like,
too fast, like
mm.
respond too quickly.
But
Yeah, you
it-
need many chat.
I know I do. But I just can't do it just yet.
Yeah.
Like I'm on the verge but here's what I've noticed
hmm
is that me doing it personally, I don't always get to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. But it kind of builds up this like want. You know how sometimes a company will come out with a product and then
Yeah.
you can't find it, right?
Yeah, it's like scarcity.
Yes. So
Mhm.
it's I've almost built this like scarcity
Anticipation.
without like really trying.
Yeah, without intention.
And then, you'll have people, please send me that recipe. And I'm not, believe me, I'm not trying to get them to beg for it.
Right.
But then I'm like, oh, they really want this recipe.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like I'm holding out. It's just
Haven't gotten to it.
Instagram's not going to let me like answer everybody. And I could answer like 24 hours a day and still not get to everybody. But it's just this weird kind of
Right.
like thing.
Yeah.
So that's how, because, once somebody starts saying yes, then Instagram's, oh, somebody likes this post. Let me throw it out to more people.
Right.
Then 5 more people say yes. And then I might, comment back to one of them, because you have to comment
Engage.
back.
Yeah.
And then it's just like free flowing. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that little reel got now 1.8 million. And it was like
Right.
crazy.
Sporadic.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still banking on the fact that is every post, does it have the ability to comment some sort of word to then get the recipe, or
Most of them.
Most of
like,
them.
So what I've done now is I'm adding back my fashion element,
okay.
Which I kind of let go. When COVID hit, before COVID, I was really involved in like the fashion industry in Charlotte, went to a lot of events, a lot of fashion shows, styled a bunch of fashion shows, but then COVID hit and it was kind of like,
yeah,
done, right?
Right.
So I kind of got off that, and most of my days were spent at home because we had to be home
Yeah.
in sweatpants, and
Right.
although I'd still buy stuff, and so now I'm getting back on that train too, because I want to appeal to that side of me, because that's a big, huge part
of you. Yeah.
So I've been trying to mix in some fashion posts along with my food. I just got accepted to LTK, which is like it to know it, if you know that.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I applied like 2 or 3 times before and got rejected.
No way.
And I'm like, why do I keep getting rejected? And at that time I think I was stuck at like 11,000 followers on Instagram or something. And so my girlfriend's like, isn't there a place like I can go and just shop all your stuff? And I'm like, there is, but they won't accept me. And I go, I'll do it one more time. And I did. And I heard back within an hour. And not only did I get accepted, I got VIP status. So I have my own like concierge, so to speak.
Okay.
Who I don't have to go like through the normal steps.
Right.
She walks me through everything.
And what facility did you figure out what made it to where this time you got finally approved?
It was the followers,
The
and
follower
it was
count?
the engagement.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have to be at a certain threshold, like 50, 30, or what, 80? Or...
I don't know if it's even that. I think that you could do it with 10,000.
Okay.
But you have to have
Engagement.
a fair amount of people engaging with your stuff.
Got it.
Like right now, if you pull up any video, I'm probably have 300 or 400 comments.
Yeah.
That's a good engagement. And
right.
And that speaks for brands too,
For sure.
Now they just don't want your following count. They want to see your analytics.
Yep.
Like they want to see that shows them that, one, I'm not buying followers.
Right.
Don't buy your followers.
Don't buy it.
I mean, it makes no sense, right?
Right. You're not fooling anybody these days.
Yeah, it's so crazy. That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, you could tell by your stories. If you're going to buy 100 followers every time you post, and you go to your stories and you have 2 or 3 people looking at them, to me, that would be motivation to go, what can I do better?
Right.
Not to have to buy
Yeah,
followers.
there's always going to be people trying to take shortcuts. Like that's just the reality of the
don't take shortcuts.
Don't take shortcuts.
Do
if
long
you want
cuts like me.
long
or
cuts.
some in between.
Some in between. No, that's I love that, because at the end of the day, you put the effort in, and then you're seeing the results from that effort that you put in. So now the brands are attracted to you. So you finally got your was it like it to know it?
LTK, finally got that. So it's up and running.
Is that mostly fashion stuff, or is there,
no, it can actually be food. So that is a place where I can like put all of my Charlotte fashion plate things into one place, and I can do video, and I can do posts. And
can people buy your recipes? Do you sell your recipes?
I don't. Like, I have honestly thought, do you know anything about Substack?
No, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's kind of a different platform. So basically, if I would do, say, a Substack, I could sell. It's sort of like a subscription, so to speak.
Okay.
But it couldn't be recipes that I would also have on my website.
Right.
Or I could go completely off of the ad agency on my website and just do Substack if I wanted to.
You have to pick one or the other.
I think Substack is really growing. I think it's something that people should get into now because I think it's going to be a really good platform. Here's the problem with the old way, the traditional way of food blogging. People come to your website, right? They look at your recipe. You have to put in an introductory paragraph, and oftentimes Google wants to know like the story behind it, right? Or they want to know like, what is a scallop?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you have to write like a couple lines about what is a scallop. And people are like, I just want to get, that's why we have the jump to recipe, right? And people are like, why do you just go on and on and on? And they don't understand
the SEO side of it.
That it's the SEO. It's not that I'm going to give you like all of this information, but the more you can tell them what this is, how to substitute ingredients if you want to make it vegetarian or Google loves that stuff.
The details.
They love to say, why should you make this recipe? And, give you instructions with photos. And
how did you learn that? Like the
all
whole
myself.
SEO optimization?
All myself.
Like you went on like YouTube and
just
learned how to.
Just watched YouTube, and I'm on like a Facebook site for food bloggers. Yeah, that's it.
This self-taught, self-learned. That's insane.
I still don't know everything, of course.
Right. There's
but
always
I don't
more
even
to
know
learn.
that all the SEO, even experts, know. What Google's doing this week or
so
next
if you were
week.
to start in this path all over again, say there's a brand new, somebody who loves cooking.
Yeah.
They have, let's call it a 9-to-5 right now, but they want to go down this path. What would be the sequence of events that you would take or do in order to get to where you're at today?
Definitely come up with a name, because I felt like that was the starting point for me. Like it took me a couple weeks, as I was telling you, with paper and like, no, I don't like that name. I don't like that name. Come up with a name and have an idea of what it is you want. I don't have a niche.
It's pretty broad, but you have it down to like, it's mainly for Charlotte, I guess, right? But it's reaching the masses, but it's Charlotte.
Reach all around the world. No, right. Charlotte. Actually, New York is, I get more people from New York than I do
from Charlotte. Yeah, even though it's.
What's wrong with you, Charlotte?
What's
people
up?
Get on my page.
Get on my page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. But you know what?
Have you ever thought about reducing it to just Fashion Plate, or is that taken?
Yes, it is not taken. However, the domain is a very expensive. Which I may.
That might be a move to reach the million.
Don't think I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
Because Fashion Plate used to mean like the fashion plates.
Yeah.
In the 40s and 50s, where they actually had the plates. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
So that is a possibility. But what's very funny, and maybe really good on my part, I don't know, is that when I get emails from like brands or whatever, it'll say, "Hello, Charlotte."
They think your name is Charlotte.
And I'm like, I don't correct them. Because I'm like, that's good branding, right?
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that all the time.
I wonder if they call Michael Jordan Nike.
I wonder. I doubt it.
I doubt it. No, but that's really good branding.
Hi, Charlotte. Hello, Charlotte.
Yeah.
And it's not even Charlotte Fashion Plate. It's hello, Charlotte. So many people. And then I'll even crazy. Like, if I, reply, I'll even put my name there. And again, the response will say, hello, Charlotte.
Yeah. There you go.
And I'm like, wow, I really branded that pretty well.
That's super good.
But yes, there might be where someday it might just be that. But
right. Yeah, because I mean, it's not
you
like
have to pay for domains like every year. You have to renew it.
Yes, depending on.
It's very expensive.
Right, but I mean, if you own the rights to it right off you own it, I'm pretty sure that the initial fee for that one is going to be large. But I don't think to renew it is going to be.
Okay, I have to look into it.
Yeah, look into that, because that might be what helps you get to that million. Such just more searchable, I guess. I don't know. More.
I don't know. I literally am all over the country. I'm all over the world. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I look at my analytics. I look at my analytics every single day.
Yeah.
I want to know where people are coming from.
And that's all through like your website, like a WordPress.
I can do it through my website, or I do it through Google Analytics, or through my Raptive, which is my my ad agency.
Okay.
But I want to know, like and it's not that I even want to know because I'm going to gear more towards that.
Yeah.
It's just like I want to know
What you're doing
where
right.
I'm reaching and
Yeah.
and what's doing well.
Okay. So first thing that they would do is make sure they lock in a good name.
Yes.
What
And
would be
then a website.
a
And it
website?
has to be, in my opinion, on WordPress. If you want to
WordPress.
be a legit food blogger, not that you can't do Wix or Squarespace or something, but if you really want to be a food blogger,
Yeah.
really earn money and this is a job or whatever. If you want it for a passion, then do whatever website, but
Yeah.
spend the money on building a good website on a
What
good
would
platform.
that cost? Do you know more
I'm
nowadays?
sure about 10 or 15,000.
Wow.
I'm
That's
sure. Unless maybe you use a theme that might be a little less expensive. But
yeah.
there's a lot involved in the whole like setup with the,
But you wouldn't think that they'll already have like a template or a theme that's already catered for like food blogs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right. So what would be different in that? I guess if you want to customize it a lot more and have your own
Right.
fonts like you, and
Yeah.
that's when it starts to
I mean, just
customization is
in
what you pay
general,
for.
if you don't know how to like build a website, even in WordPress,
Yeah.
you'd have to hire somebody, I think.
Right, right.
Like that, I did outsource.
Okay.
Although I had a little bit of say in it.
There you go. Yeah, because 10K, 15K sounds,
There is no
commitment.
doubt. I think a good website would cost you 10K.
10.
There's just so much involved by the time you get even it the way you want to
Functioning.
look for the pages and how many pages do you want and then connecting everything to Google and all your social medias and it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so name and then website.
Then your website.
And then
just get
create
in
content.
the kitchen.
Get in the kitchen.
Learn SEO. Like
yeah.
if
Learn SEO.
that for me, it put me 3 years behind. Not
learning SEO.
Not learning SEO and just throwing recipes on a website just with
like spaghetti on the wall.
Just like
Seeing if it
and
sticks.
I go back and I'm going, did I write that?
Oh really?
That looks so horrible. Like I'm a ... person, so a lot of my sentences will like go on and then ... and then start again. I'm like, did I really do that?
That's awesome. That's funny. So now you'll go back to your older recipes and your old blogs and you'll be like, wow, I can't believe this.
Here's
actually
what I do.
got...
I go there after I make the recipe and I just highlight everything and go delete.
Do you really?
Uh-huh.
Do you don't replace it? You just delete it?
Oh, I replace it.
Oh, okay.
Like I keep the the title unless I want to change a word or whatever. But the whole body and usually the pictures are like crap because I had no lighting or didn't even didn't even have a clue about lighting.
Right.
And then I'll just start from scratch.
Got it. And then would you say, okay, so that's the next step. Start getting in the kitchen, start documenting, writing down the recipes. Right. Getting content for it, right? Video is going to be super important as well.
Video is really important, and learn some lighting. Like
lighting.
I got lucky enough when I joined the creator program for TikTok.
Yeah.
And they had a couple like boot camps, and one was specific to lighting, so it was
game changer, huh?
Game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 4 weeks. Every week we had like a webinar. Amazing the things that I learned about lighting.
Wow, especially for food because you have to get it the right lighting.
It is
otherwise
hard.
You get a shadow and
like
it looks
oranges
weird.
And reds and so I learned a lot. So I'd learn a lot about writing or about lighting. And I shoot everything with my camera or my
Your
phone.
iPhone? Yeah.
I don't use a
DSLR
camera.
or anything like that. No.
Like I want to learn.
Yeah.
But maybe I will.
Yeah, to get to the million, you will.
To get to the million, probably.
You have to up the quality.
Because I really need YouTube. Like I do have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I might have 20 videos on there. I don't know even when I've posted last.
Right.
And I don't do anything like horizontally.
Like long form, you don't do anything long form? Meaning 10 plus minutes?
No.
Right. Everything is short form at this point, right?
It's like a minute or so long, and then I take those videos and cut them down for Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably going to be the route that you're going to take. To get to the million is getting a YouTube channel up and going.
I really
a team.
I need a team. I need like a YouTube, like,
Yeah, like you're gonna need like a legit studio,
yeah,
a kitchen studio with
right.
cameras, people doing it. You just come
If you
in and
would see
cook.
my setup right now, you
Yeah,
would go, I cannot believe you get 113,000. Like,
really.
yeah,
It's like a tripod with the light and the
it
camera phone.
is. And it's just like I have a backdrop and a
Yeah,
thing on my counter. And there's probably like a bunch of stuff on this side away from the camera you can't see. They're just
really.
like ingredients or whatever. And,
That's so cool.
but like it
Yeah,
works. And
yeah, it works. It's kind of like when Jeff Bezos started Amazon type of thing, right?
yeah,
And then eventually you move into the big player
right.
moves with studio and then kitchen and all of that. Have you thought about eventually getting a studio to have your kitchen in to create content, or you haven't thought that far ahead yet?
No, I have. I just don't know yet.
Yeah, you don't know when you'll pull that trigger.
Right.
Yeah,
Like I have a lot going on right now.
because if your next goal is 1 million, you need to start like reverse engineering. What would that look like?
Mhm.
I'm sure there's already food bloggers that are already getting 1 million, right? Or no?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, okay, what are they doing?
Yeah.
I'm sure they
They have
their,
a team.
they
I
have a
know. Like
team, they have
the one I worked with, there were like maybe 4 or 5 people
Hmm.
on her team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's not even that much. I thought it was gonna be like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
So yes, I do know
Yeah.
that will be that.
Yeah.
But
Is it this food blogging industry? Would you call it? Would it be saturated in any way? Somebody might be thinking is like, oh, it's just too many people doing it.
I'm
I don't
sure.
know if. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like I said, it's highly competitive.
Yeah.
But I just put all of that out of my brain, and I think that's what let me just move ahead because I don't care what you're doing or you're doing or you're doing.
Right.
What you do, we're all different.
Right.
We all do our videos different.
It's an art, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's a form of art.
All different. You could make the same recipe as I do, and we probably have made the same recipe.
Yeah.
But we all do it differently.
Right.
And I think people are too much in that I gotta rank number whatever. I gotta do this. I gotta do that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this recipe if I don't rank.
Right.
That's never been me. I have never once done keyword search.
Right.
I don't pay for keyword search. I just don't do it.
And you don't even do a recipe that you don't feel like doing, like actually enjoying.
If my husband would say make this and it's like something I don't want to make,
yeah,
he's not getting it probably. Like unless like it's his birthday or something.
It's a special occasion.
He'll always go, just make a burger, and I'm like,
make a burger.
No.
Have you ever thought about like do you eat out in restaurants and stuff like
once
that?
in a while, but not that often.
Not that often.
Mm-mm.
Is that more like a decision where you want to just eat always at home, or you want to take advantage of like, I have this business too, I might as well just cook it and
so I really like to cook a lot, and some days I do need a break. Like, we might order out once every 2 weeks or something, but I really like the creative part. And I'm really disappointed, like ever since COVID, for sure, for a lot of the restaurants. And I know it's not, it's a lack of help.
Yeah.
Food costs now are extremely high. I think my grocery bill's like, 3 times what it was.
Yeah.
But at least, and then also, like, I'm very traditional wife. They call them trad wives, I think now. So like, I literally put the food on my husband's plate. You know what I mean?
I love it.
But then I'm not, because he cleans up the kitchen.
Yeah.
But there's just certain things I think. My husband's going to be 71 on Thursday, actually.
Wow. Happy birthday, husband.
And he's a diabetic. He's gotten off all his insulin. And I think that it's because I'm cooking at home.
Yeah.
Whether I cook, like really fatty things, or I don't care if it's mashed potatoes and gravy or, salmon. I think it's that balance of knowing what's going into your food.
Right.
That has gotten him,
Better.
Not taking insulin, like none. There's
wild.
none.
That's great.
That's
great. I think that's something that possibly, I don't know if you talk about it in your blogs and all of that, but the importance behind having home cooked meals, not just the ability to understand what exactly is going into your body, but also the bonding experience that it is when you break bread with your family
Right.
and that conversation and all of that. Maybe you could be a big advocate in, having that time with one another and talking about what that day looked
Yeah.
like and all these beautiful things that come from
Right.
this this tradition that really has died with
Yes.
time, right?
Right.
Like you don't really see people nowadays
Sitting
sitting
down
down
and yeah.
together, sharing a
Right.
meal, and if you do, it's like on their phone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that would be kind of like a cool spin on,
Oh yeah.
hey, bring it back, and that'll
Right.
obviously drive more people into
Yeah.
getting
Yeah,
more of your
like for
recipes.
us, we definitely, my husband sometimes has to eat cold food. Like, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
by the time the finished dish is there and I'm taking video and pictures,
yeah,
but we always sit down together. Our phones are like not near us.
yeah.
And, he's of course probably watching hockey if hockey's on. But it does give us those,
Those moments together, type of
yeah,
thing.
just to like chill and, talk about whatever we want to talk about. And I think that's definitely lost.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a theme that you follow usually as far as the type of food that you like to cook?
I
Is
like to
there
do seafood a lot.
seafood? Is it kind
Yeah.
of like your
Fish and seafood. That's
Okay,
my, yeah.
really? Because I was thinking, I was like, okay, I don't know. Do you do like mainly like lunch and dinners, or like do you do brunch, breakfasts? Like, do you mix it up?
I mix it up, but my
Mostly
main is I
seafood.
love fish and seafood to see
Yeah.
what I can like just do.
Yeah, I saw the scallops one. I was like, my
Oh,
mouth literally
they're
like
so. I
waterworks.
can sear a scallop.
Oh man, that looks
I'm telling you, I
amazing.
don't know how, like, because again, I taught myself. I don't know how I did, but
Yeah.
I just never get it wrong, and I don't know why.
Yeah, because I would say my mom, she's a beast cooking. Cooking. She's Dominican,
Yeah.
and she just has. But unlike you, she doesn't follow any recipes.
Right.
It's all the eye, the feel. She doesn't even
Yes.
taste her food.
Yeah.
And then I ask her, my brother asked her, Mom, how did you like? What did you? She's like, this and you know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's always like super good.
Right.
And I'm like, Mom, you need to start like writing these
Yeah.
things down. She's like, I don't have time for it. Like I
Yeah.
don't. So it's one of those things that if it's especially a dish that she cooks often, almost always it tastes exactly the same,
Mhm.
but she never measures
Yeah.
anything. It's like a weird gift,
Yeah.
right? But
Same. I mean, if I didn't have to write it down,
yeah,
I wouldn't write it down.
you wouldn't write it down. It's
Like,
kind of like all the eye. Do you taste your food as you go? Though it's good on salt or whatever. Because she
um,
usually finds out from us.
yeah,
She
I
serves
don't
it.
know.
Everybody's eating already. Is it good on salt? Is it something missing? That's how she.
Sometimes not. Like, I got this cold over the weekend, and I'm like, I made something last night, and I asked my husband, I'm eating it, but I'm like, I can't really taste it,
Oh.
so I can kind of smell it. And I said, does it taste good? And he's like, he wouldn't stop eating it. But
It's so
I'm
good.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good sign. That's a
Yeah.
good. So do you make like I don't know if I saw it. Have you? I'm sure you've made it like lobster bisque.
Uh-huh.
That's like my favorite. Lobster
Yep.
bisque, crab bisque.
Yep.
It's like the best.
Mhm.
Lobster rolls, right? You
I
make those.
do.
You make those
Mhm.
because you're not much of a baker. You said right.
Not a baker.
Is your husband a baker?
No.
No.
I made him banana bread a couple weeks ago, and it was very odd. He did
Odd.
take like one piece, and then
Uh-huh.
it just sat there for a couple days, and I'm like,
Did you not like it?
And I knew it was awful. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
You're not a
And
baker.
it's like, no,
No.
I'm just like I've dabbled with some sourdough for bread, and that's
Okay.
turned out fine.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you have to put it in the fridge to like rise, and I don't understand that whole like
Science
the
behind
chemistry and
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, should be warm, but then you're putting it in the fridge.
it. Uh-huh.
I'm just
That's
I don't
probably
like it.
okay. So you don't like you don't have the patience for it. So that's probably
Mm-mm.
why you lean more towards like seafood, because usually seafood is pretty quick to cook. It's
Mhm.
like you can get some shrimps and
right.
like ready to go in
Yep.
no time.
hmm
Okay, and lobster and all these
Right.
different things. Okay, so that makes sense. Is there a specific, I would say, avenue right now that you see in the food blogging world where a lot of people, maybe there's an untapped version of food blogging? Say, let's call it maybe, if you food blog for brunches, it would do like any niche that you see that is there's an opportunity for or
I'm
anything like that.
sure there is. For me, I really wouldn't know. Like at some point it was keto, right? Everybody was keto.
All right.
And then there's a big push. Well, keto is not healthy for you. I'm not saying it is or is. I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
I'm not.
You stay
like,
in your lane. You stay into
I
like your
stay
own
in my
numbers.
lane.
You
I
don't even
don't-
know what's trending.
Yeah,
type
I
of thing.
don't give like I have like in my recipe card, I have nutrition information, but I steer away from like giving any kind of nutrition advice in my,
Mm,
unless I know like scallops are high in protein, I might put that in there.
okay.
Um, I'm sure there are. Like, I think that if somebody, and this might be a good idea, not for me because I'm not a niche, but
Right.
like if somebody could come up with like maybe not even a diet, but maybe an eating plan and recipes for, say, women who are going through menopause,
Mm,
right? Maybe
okay.
something like that.
So specific.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, niches do very well. Like,
Right.
there's no doubt about it.
Right.
But it's just not something I've ever.
Yeah. That's
I
not something
just
that you would
want to
naturally
make,
do.
well, yeah, if I want to make salmon one night
Yeah.
and,
Which is my favorite. Like
filet.
I could eat salmon every day.
Have you ever tried it in the air fryer?
Yes, my wife
It's
makes it in the air
so
fryer.
good,
She
right?
puts honey on it and she puts I think
Mm,
Dijon mustard a little bit or
mm-hmm.
something like that. It's the best.
I
Like
know.
in the air fryer, I feel like it's better than even in the pan.
Yes, I agree.
It's wild.
So what's
I love it.
funny? So I a little bit about TikTok. Whether it stays or not, I hope it does. But if
Yeah.
it doesn't, then maybe that will push me to YouTube if it doesn't, right?
Right.
Um, but so I joined their
You mean TikTok if it doesn't
yeah,
get
because it's
banned or whatever?
right.
Yeah.
So I joined their creator fund, so I get paid for my videos on TikTok,
Okay.
and that's a
Are they
very
generous or like
yeah,
yeah?
very generous.
Okay.
That's probably about $3,000 to $4,000 a month from TikTok just on my videos.
Wow.
And then I also have my own little like TikTok shop. I don't sell anything of my own,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's a lot of like Amazon
Items
sellers.
and stuff like
So
that.
I'm an Amazon affiliate. So
Right.
that's another
Revenue source.
revenue source. And
They pay very little though, right? Amazon.
it depends on the work you do. Like
Okay.
it can be small or it can be big. Like it just depends on how, if you have like an item that goes crazy, you're
Yeah.
gonna.
I thought like their margins or their profit split was really small, but I could be wrong.
They are small, but it's like the
The
more
volume.
right.
It's volume, yeah.
And then a lot of those Amazon sellers are now on TikTok. And then what happens as a TikTok shop affiliate or creator, whatever you want to call it, you can go through the stuff that they have and you can like request a sample. I think I just got my 6th air fryer in the
Really?
and you have to like,
Yeah.
create a video.
Right. It's like UGC content. Is that what it is?
No, no. So those actually go on your page, but I
Oh.
do a lot of UGC deals too,
Okay.
which I like and I don't like at times. But I'll tell you a little bit about why I don't like UGC. I
Mhm.
kind of like them, but
Yeah.
So no, you create a video, and then what happens is like in the video you'll go, if you want the air fryer, I'll link it here, or you can find it in my TikTok shop. So my sisters and I went to Vegas in January,
Mhm.
and I'd bought this dress off of a website like back in October, and I took it with me, and we're having dinner, and I'm like, told my sister, take a quick video of me in this dress. I said, because I saw that they're now selling this dress on the TikTok shop. And it wasn't an Amazon dress, it was just a regular company. Like, I'm just gonna throw it out there and see what happens. That video right now has almost 700,000 views.
On TikTok?
And I think
Wow.
I've made like 5,000 in commission already just off of one
Really?
video.
That's insane.
So that commission is on top of the video.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. Who would have thought? I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah.
And
then you get all this like product.
You have
like,
to get approved to be able to.
You do. So for the TikTok, I think for the shop to be like that, you need like 5,000 followers, and then for the creator fund, you need like 10,000.
Got it. And where are you at?
I'm
with
over.
TikTok?
I'm like 107 right now
on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so your TikTok is more prevalent than even Instagram. Like you have more following there.
Yeah.
And it also monetizes better than Instagram too.
Yeah.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
so
I
it's gonna
mean,
be
if you're making 7,000 or 8,000 just on TikTok a month,
videos,
yeah.
yeah. So it's gonna be a sad day if they do like ban it.
Kinda, but like I'm not gonna cry.
Right. It's not
will
like
I
your
be
main or your
sad
only
if I was
source.
like losing 7,000 a month? Yes,
Right.
but
That energy will go somewhere else.
it'll go probably to YouTube.
Which YouTube is getting ready. By the way, they're getting ready.
I heard.
They're getting ready to launch some pretty cool stuff
Yep.
on that stuff. So it's just a matter for you, I guess, repurposing, right? Because it's not like
Yeah, like
it's
I
more
can
extra work, but like
I
posting it
make a
there too.
video on TikTok, I save it without the watermark,
Yeah.
and then I will cut it up into little pieces. I actually like save it, bring it back into TikTok.
So you record it inside of TikTok?
Uh-huh.
Oh wow.
And then I save it. You can download it without the
Right.
you couldn't do that before. You actually had to do this
screen recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it got a little smaller.
Yeah.
Um
Well, now there's websites where you can grab the link of the video from TikTok.
Right. That never worked for me. I
No.
tried it.
Yeah.
But now they'll let you download it before
You add any audio or anything like that.
No, you can you can, or you can add audio, but it lets you download it without the watermark.
Ah.
And then I save it, then I bring it back in TikTok and do my
Chop it up.
editing.
That's where you like cut it
for
up in
my
there.
Instagram.
Okay. And then you extract it again
Yes.
once you edit it.
Yes. And then I might use like a fuller video on my Facebook because I got a pretty good, like, my Facebook does very well too.
Oh, does it?
Especially because it's a lot of my like family and my mom's friends.
Yeah.
Who,
Yeah.
a lot of people who stay want to know what I'm making.
Yeah. So
my
your Facebook
husband
does
every night.
pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it makes sense because people who are in the kitchen and cooking and all of that, it's Facebook has an older demographic. Right. So you're not gonna have these like people my age all the time like figuring out recipes is gonna be people who are older. So that demographic is like perfect.
Yeah.
So that's I can see why.
And then every time I do it, I like share it to my mom's page, share it to my husband's page. You know what I mean?
Yeah, share it out, help the algorithm a little bit.
Right.
No, I love that. So, no, I think that I can't wait to see what else you do. I can't wait to see when you get to that 1 million sessions a month.
It's gonna happen. I really have a good feeling about it.
Yeah.
I do. I really think that my goal is a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that the only thing that could help expedite it is how fast you can build your team. That really is. That's gonna be the thing. Because if you could have done it on your own, you would have already done it.
Right. So here's my problem. Like, I'm just a control freak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And would I be happy if I stayed just where I'm at? I probably would be.
Yeah.
Am I going to stay just where I'm at? No. That's why I added back the elements of the fashion because now I get to share that again.
Which I was going to ask you, how do you share? How are you navigating merging the two? Just being in a really nice outfit while you're cooking, or
sometimes yes, and like sometimes people go, well, what are you wearing? What do you use for your hair? That's not what I get all the time.
Okay.
I'm like, it's an $11 curling iron from like Conair, right? People think I like use this $200 curling iron, all this expensive. No product. That's it. Just that.
Wow.
And
it is beautiful in
you.
person, by the way. It's legit.
So what I can do like with my LTK is I can, post photos of like me in an outfit when I'm out somewhere.
Okay.
And instead of like normally I would have done that on Instagram, but I'm getting away from I think that static posts on Instagram are kind of dead. Unless you have a huge following.
Right.
You're not really getting much from
carousels are making a comeback, I've seen.
Yes, those are doing well on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Carousels are good.
Carousels on TikTok? I've never seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
The reason why carousels kind of do good on Instagram is because people are on that a little bit longer because they have to scroll.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The longer you can get somebody on that one post.
Yeah.
That's why they say always use like a hook at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And also what I noticed is that Instagram, when you have, say, a static image and then you have your video after in the carousel format, they'll show someone the image in the beginning, and if you didn't interact with it, it'll skip to that second slide and it'll show that one.
Right.
And it'll be the video at that point. So you get like double the opportunity for that post to do well. Right. Which it makes sense, I guess, but what I've seen a lot of big accounts do is that they'll have like the hook in writing on that first picture. Yeah. Maybe in your case, it would be like the picture of the final dish.
Right.
How I made this in 12 minutes or whatever. Right. And then it's you actually making in the video. That's what I've seen that has been doing pretty well on Instagram, at least. I don't know.
I do a lot of like showing everybody the beginning.
Yeah, you have to sell the results
at the beginning, right?
Yeah, you have to sell the results.
And then one other thing I've also noticed about posting on any platform, but mainly Instagram, is to to not use I so much and
Use you.
use you.
Yeah.
Like, I try when I'm posting is, you're gonna love this, or because I just think if I would constantly say, look at me, look what I made today,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the best, I'm the greatest. People are like,
Yeah.
shut
It's not
up,
relatable. Yeah.
you know? But if you are like, you need
Speaking to your audience.
yes,
Yeah.
you have to bring your audience in. There's like a time for, because it is all about them, really, as far as I'm concerned. I want to share this with you, and I want you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I try as much as I can never to put the word I in there.
That's a really good tip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've seen that a couple of times. But it really boils down to, as humans, we're naturally selfish. We want to know
Right.
what's in it for us.
Right.
If I'm going to give you these 7 to 12 seconds,
Yeah.
I have to get something from it.
Right.
It's not for you to glorify yourself. It's
Yeah.
really the mentality behind it. So
Right.
yeah, I could see why that could be.
But I
very
think if a
important.
lot more people went towards you and left out the I,
You'll
I
do
think
well.
you would do so much better.
That's a really
Yeah.
good tip. That's a really good tip. Any final tips, recommendations? Your audience is gonna see this, right? Like, what would you tell your
Well, I hope
audience?
so. If I get picked up in the season.
Yeah, for sure. I think you will. What would you tell your audience?
As far as
Because you don't normally they don't get to normally see you speaking outside of recipes and all of that stuff, right? Like, what would this is your opportunity to I don't know,
honestly,
tell them something.
like, I love
Do you
when
go live and stuff? And
I do. I'll go live on TikTok. I don't go live on Instagram that
okay.
much. So that's another thing I'm working on too.
Yeah.
But as a perfectionist,
Yeah.
my hair and my makeup has to be done,
On
and
point.
then at some point I just got to go. You know what? If
Yeah.
I want to get on at 10 o'clock at night, just get on.
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, I love meeting people, and one of the things that I'll get a lot when I'm out is, like, somebody will see me and then I'll get a message later. Oh, I saw you here and there, but I'm too scared to talk to you. Like,
Yeah.
I am me.
Like, right.
I love talking to people.
That's
like,
good.
I love
So
it.
say hi when you see Melissa, please.
Yeah, say hi. Like,
yeah, it's not that
I'm
big
nobody.
a deal.
Like, I'm just.
Yeah, maybe that, I don't know, maybe they feel like it's intimidating, or I don't know, because they don't maybe see as much of the side of you directly,
Right.
but they mostly see the professional creating recipes,
Right.
and they haven't been able to connect with you on a personal level.
I agree. And
That's
I
probably
need to
what
work
makes it.
on that. That's like my biggest thing. And it's not that I'm scared of doing that.
Yeah.
It's just like, I might be like, my hair up, no makeup on, and I'm making a recipe, right? And I'm hot, and I just don't feel like
right. You're video ready type of thing.
Like I'm video ready,
Right.
Right. Which it probably
Something that
I
you get over.
am.
Yeah.
And then there are times on Instagram or on TikTok I'll get over it.
Yeah.
But I would just say, like, I think that this type of what I'm doing, food blogging, influencing, whatever, it's real.
Right.
Like, it's hard work. I know some people try to glorify it. Well, you get this, you get these free things. I still work for everything that I get.
Yeah, like you're sleeping 4 hours a day.
Yeah, and I'm working hard, but I'm also very passionate about it.
Right.
I don't push products that I don't use or don't feel like they would benefit somebody.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that a lot of influencers and creators go off the deep end, because it is then about making money.
Yeah, it's dollars.
It's never been about, like, am I proud of myself for the income I'm generating right now? 100%.
Yeah.
But I know I've worked hard. I haven't compromised my principles. And I think integrity is the most important. Not, not compromising just for the dollar.
I love that. That's a great message, because a lot of times, people have to eat too. So we're not knocking on, doing what you got to do to create an income. But if you're able to create an income and still keep your integrity and still be morally correct and all these things, that's the ultimate, win at the end of the day.
It is. And because, like, I couldn't go to bed thinking, oh, I'm going to push this supplement. What, I'm going to take it for a day. Oh my God, I feel great. You know?
Right.
So anytime I get an email from a supplement company, I delete it.
Right.
Unless it's something I want to try, and then I have to try it out for a whole month before I can even
give a honest opinion about it.
Yeah.
Right.
But and I know like some of the TikTok you can kind of get in the shuffle, but I only go and want samples of things that like
Yeah.
I really want to try.
Have you found yourself in a place where it's like, oh, I want to buy this, and you know what? Let me not buy it. Let me try to reach out to this brand. Like, hey, I want to try this.
Yeah,
Have you done that?
I've done that,
Yeah, because I
but
feel like that's
I don't
probably
do
a
it
better
for
approach.
definitely like smaller businesses. If it's a larger business, yes, but smaller business,
Right.
I'll pay for my product. Like I
Right.
want to support,
Right.
and I might even do
Love that.
some like free videos and things like that. I don't
That's
do a
cool.
lot of like commission based things anymore.
Oh no, it's mainly ads
Well, like I'll
generated
do
at this point.
UGC deals. I'll do, like video content.
Which you were gonna say about UGC? Will
Oh,
that be the
so
last
those are
thing?
great. They are great.
Yeah.
But sometimes companies get very specific,
Mm,
canned almost.
mm.
And
So there's
I
a lot
would
of
rather be
revisions.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like revisions. Like I worked with Campbell Soup and it was so not me.
Oh really?
Like the final thing, it was just like, it was so difficult to do. I mean, they paid really well. It was great to be associated with Campbell Soup.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I was like,
Out of your
I
element.
need more of like I did a bunch of UGC for Newman's Own,
Okay.
the food brand, they do
Yeah.
dressings and stuff.
Uh huh.
Those were the greatest. They paid well. I got to be me. I got to do. They never wanted to look at something to send it back for
Revise it
edits,
or whatever.
and it just felt like so freeing and
Mm.
so me.
Yeah. So do
Um,
you find yourself now when new opportunities come, you ask them up front like what's required, or
if I look at the requirements, usually they'll
you can
they'll
tell right away?
they'll they'll say, okay, we need to see the content before it's posted, which that's fine if you're
Yeah.
paying that much money for it. But when it gets to be a script,
Hmm.
then I'm like, yeah, no, it's not me. It just doesn't come across as
Natural.
authentic.
Right. And
Um,
your audience will pick up on it if your audience seen you in this light, for so long, and then all of a sudden they're gonna tell there's something off that's not natural
yeah,
here.
and like Campbell's was a brand deal; it wasn't a UGC.
Okay.
So, it to me, when I look back at it, I was excited, and I probably just took it because I was excited to work with them.
Right.
Like another notch in your belt, right? But I
Right.
don't just do those anymore, and I don't do. I think I have one or two like commission based.
Like
That's where
affiliate type.
I
Is
mean,
that
I
what that
did them
is?
when I first started, and I think they're great for people who first start. But for me right now, for a video, I might charge $1,500 for one like 30-second video.
Yeah.
You're going to maybe give me the product, and I'm going to do a video, and then I got to keep doing more videos because I
Mm.
got to keep telling people that here's your 10% off. But then you go to their website and they give you 15% off. Like,
Right.
it's just, you don't make any money that way.
No.
I'm
No
not going
money.
to do 4 or 5 videos that would cost you $5,000 for what? To make 2 sales,
Right.
10% commission?
Yeah. Not worth it. Not
No,
worth it.
I
get it.
mean, huge imbalance there.
For sure. For sure. Well, you already like locked in your niche. How do you like to generate your income? You already have a process. It's all a matter of how do you scale it at this point. So that's great. Now, what would you? How can people find you before we go? How can people find you?
So everywhere, Charlotte Fashion Plate. So
Okay.
Charlotte _ fashion
Fashion Plate.
_
And we'll
plate.
link it down below in the description. You'll hear it. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the YouTube description. If you're listening to it on the podcast, it should be in the description there as well.
Yeah. So Facebook, Charlotte Fashion Plate. TikTok, Charlotte Fashion Plate.
Everywhere, Charlotte Process.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's everywhere.
The
Same
website,
Charlotte Fashion Plate.
charlottefashionplate.com.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for
Thank
coming on. I had an
you.
amazing time. So
So
much
did
good
I.
information. And we hope to see you at that million session very, very
A
soon.
year and a half.
A year. Let's call it a year. Let's challenge you to get a year.
That's
that means that you're going to
fine.
hire some more people really quickly. Thank you so much for
Send
coming.
some people my way. Send some people my way.
Send some people her way. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, go follow Melissa, and I'll see you guys at the top. Let's go.